Urgent appeal. UN warns of catastrophic crisis in Sudan as conflict escalates. UN agencies declare that the 10-month conflict has sparked one of the world's most significant displacement and protection crises. The United Nations is urging for $4.1 billion to address the humanitarian needs of those affected by the war in Sudan and to support refugees who have fled to neighboring nations. Since the outbreak of hostilities between the Sudanese Armed Forces, SAF, and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, half of Sudan's population, approximately 25 million people, requires humanitarian assistance and protection. Over 1.5 million individuals have sought refuge in countries such as the Central African Republic, Chad, Egypt, Ethiopia, and South Sudan. Martin Griffiths, the UN chief, lamented the international community's neglect of Sudan, emphasizing the urgent need for attention and aid during a briefing in Geneva. The Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, and the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, jointly issued an appeal for $2.7 billion to aid 14.7 million people in Sudan, while the UNHCR separately requested $1.4 billion to support nearly 2.7 million refugees in neighboring countries. Griffiths criticized the competitive nature of humanitarian aid, where regions vie for attention based on the severity of their suffering. The recent capture of Gezira State by the RSF, a vital agricultural region and a sanctuary for displaced individuals, underscores the worsening situation in Sudan. With widespread displacement, food insecurity affecting 18 million people, and critical shortages in healthcare and education, the crisis in Sudan is dire. Diseases like cholera, measles, and malaria are rampant, and human rights violations are widespread. UN High Commissioner for Refugees Filippo Grandi emphasized the urgent need for assistance after visiting displaced families in Sudan and neighboring Ethiopia. The World Food Programme, WFP, reported a doubling of hunger cases in Sudan, with reports of starvation-related deaths emerging. The conflict, claiming 12,000 lives according to UN estimates, has displaced over 10 million people. Despite international efforts to broker a ceasefire, violence persists. The conflict initially erupted over a plan to integrate the RSF into the SAF and transition towards democratic elections, following the ousting of longtime ruler Omar al-Bashir in 2019. Throughout the conflict, both the SAF and the RSF have been accused of war crimes, including indiscriminate shelling of civilian areas and arbitrary detention.